Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome to another day. This is the Ask Steve show with the Mule guy right here and the Mule man right there. We're talking mules and donkeys for the next 60 minutes, and we are so glad that you are here with us. The program is very, very simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. You go out, and if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, you can try other things, but we're going to tell you what has worked for Mr. Steve Edwards in mule and donkey training since 1981. Steve will be the first to tell you that everything that he shares with you, it comes out of real life experience and a lot of mistakes being made over the years. And what we've got on the other side here is everything that we believe you need to gain the trust of your animal, get results when you train so that you can enjoy the escape from life. You can enjoy the escape from the 24/7 news cycle. You can enjoy the escape from work, from maybe different family dynamics, and enjoy God's creation. Steve, it has been not just 7 days, but it has been 6 days since we last got together. Of course, I mean last Wednesday. We had a great program on techniques for tuning up. I've been getting emails from people all week long saying, hey, that was a great program. Thank you for sharing it. I'm so glad I was there. And I have a few folks who have sent follow-up questions that we're going to talk about today. But how has it been since we last saw each other?
Well, I went and left the country for a while. I left the United States and I went to California. Yep.
All day, folks. This guy, all day long.
Yeah, I left the United States and I went to California, but I went to see a very good friend, which we'll talk about later and show some pictures and stuff. But you know what? I like Arizona. I've been all over the world, and it's hard to beat Arizona. But I especially like to go places where I can carry my guns, and I'm a little bit, I really like carrying my guns. I don't like hiding them, but I do. So therefore, we did good. I really enjoyed my visit with my very dear friend, Dr. Robert Miller.
Yeah. I'm glad. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And with that, Steve's announcing a brand new shirt. It's said, I like to carry my guns. So that'll be available on the muleranch.com web. No, I'm just kidding.
on my mules.
Right.
We need my new hat.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hold on. I forgot to grab. A very, very nice listener was kind enough to hook us up. Love thy mule. I got to adjust the size here. I picked it up from the post office box as I was leaving for the office today. And I was like, I got to size this thing. And Steve, I forgot to size it. So, yeah, awesome hat that came in from one of our watchers, one of our listeners.
Yes. Yeah, the King James version of Mules.
Love thy mule. There we go.
That's right. Okay, the mule guy set and the mule man set. We got it. Look,
all set. We are good to go. Steve's heard this story, and Leslie's probably heard it. Sherman's probably heard it. Dave O'Brien's probably heard it. But for my friends who have not heard it, they were doing Spirit Week at school for my boys. I got 3 boys in elementary school last year. One's moved on to middle school now. But they were doing Spirit Week, and one of the days was Cowboy Day. So you go dressed up as a cowboy. And Isaiah walks out into the living room wearing like a Queen Valley Mule Ranch, kind of like this one, a Queen Valley Mule Ranch hat. And my wife goes, why are you wearing a baseball cap today? He goes, it's Cowboy Day. And she goes, that's a baseball hat. She goes, no, this is a cowboy hat. A real cowboy gave it to me. And so he went to school wearing his Queen Valley Mule Ranch hat because a real cowboy gave him that hat. And i.e., that was a cowboy hat. So I've got my cowboy hat on. And yeah, actually, this is actually really, really soft and really comfortable.
That's a nice hat.
I'm actually not hating this at all. I don't usually wear hats, but I'm digging this. All right, love thy mule, everyone.
It hides your gray hair.
What's that?
It hides your gray hair.
Yeah, it hides. Woo-wee! All right. So the way this program works is after Steve and I get done horsing around, we would love to say hello to you. We would love for you. The first thing we ask is that you share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like today. And why is that? Well, we believe that you're awesome. You are created in the image of an incredible God. You are like God loves you so much. And we follow that lead. And we want to say hello to you and appreciate all of the amazing things about you. And while we can't get together personally, you say hello to us, we can say hello to you, and we can start the relationship that way. So share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like, because at the end of the day, relationship is really what we're in this for, is to be with you and you to be with us. The second thing we ask is that you share any and every mule or donkey question that you have. As I said at the top of the hour, Steve has been working with these animals, cowboying his whole life, but focused on the mule and the donkey since '81. And in that time, Steve will be the first to tell you lots of mistakes, lots of boo-boos, lots of things that he wishes probably go back and I wish I hadn't done this to that mule or what. But the good that came out of it is Steve has learned to speak mule. He has learned to speak donkey. And you didn't think it was possible, but it is. And we're here to teach you how to speak mule and donkey too. And the way we do that is by you asking questions. We'll give you answers. You get out there, give it a try. And if it works for you, keep doing it. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Come back, ask more questions, or you can move on to something else. But we're going to do our best to make sure that you gain the trust of your animal, get results when you train, you be that herd leader, and enjoy life as an equine owner. The third thing that we ask after you put your mule and donkey questions in the chat, third thing is that you share the broadcast with friends and family. Now, I'm going to tell you, folks, y'all have done an incredible job with this in the past. That is how we continue to do this program. If it got to the point where just we weren't meeting new people and the people we had met aren't hanging out with us, well, we'd just say, well, maybe it's time to close up shop here. But y'all have done such an incredible job with us in the past. It really gives us something to look forward to and makes these not just to get together, but look forward to contribute, to help, to build this little community. So please use the like and the subscribe buttons on Facebook and YouTube, and you can tag friends or family as well. All right, let's get to it. Sherman watching from Norman, Oklahoma, 89 degrees. Dave O'Brien is watching from East Texas, 91 degrees and humid, he says. Leslie is watching from a 78 sunny, beautiful trail ride all day under the big tall oak trees and grass field. Life is good. Now, Leslie is just showing off. She knows, Steve, that you and I are still stuck here in 105 plus degree heat, and she's just showing off her big, tall oak tree trail ride in the grass fields. Leslie, I demand pictures. If I can't be there with you, I demand pictures. Susan, actually, Carl is watching on Susan's account from Loa, Utah. Cloudy and rain expected. Paul is watching from Gazelle, California. It's around 90. Laura is watching, hey, Switzerland. We've gone international. Weather is fresh. Thanks for these streamings. You got it, Laura. We're glad you're here. Paulie's watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 86 and beautiful. Riding tomorrow in my Steve Edwards saddle and tack. That means it's going to be a great ride. Edna's watching from Spring Hill, Florida, 84 and mostly cloudy. Jane is watching from northern Florida, where it is rainy. A little cooler temps, 83. Kyle is here from Nysa, Oregon, hot and very smoky from the local forest fires. Kyle, I think I sent an email back to you today. We're gonna talk about your setup here. That'll be a lot of fun. Pat is watching from Aberdeen, North Carolina, 80 and sunny. Polly from Barnesville, Minnesota, 86 smoky. Looking forward. Oh, there we go. Double dosage of Polly. Steve. The first question that I have is, can you use snuff or chewing tobacco to naturally deworm a mule?
You know, I have never tried it. I know people that tell me they have tried it, all in the South, of course, where chewing tobacco is. but I have never used it, so I really couldn't tell you. But maybe there's some folks online here that can tell you. Uh, I've used I've just mainly used ivermectin and zomectin and this sort of thing. I always switch it out between the two, but no, if you, I've never used it, so maybe somebody on there can tell us if they've done good with it or not, and what
All
type
right.
of worms.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see here. Next question is from Big K. Says, I'm not being a writer, but I enjoy your content. If you ride a mule one day, can you ride the mule the next day? Can you use it to work every day? Or am I misunderstanding the idea of being able to ride regularly?
Well, yeah, I mean, the big thing is this: you need to make sure the animal is in condition. That's one of the biggest problems that we have today with people riding. Um, they will have their mule set for 2 3 weeks, just riding maybe a couple 2 3 hours a week, and that's all. And then they take them on a great big ride, and they wonder why they get colicky or why they, uh, will get dehydrated and this sort of thing. Well, we've got to prepare these animals now. I can tell you safely that, uh, like at the Grand Canyon, we rode them down the bottom and back up, and then they had nothing else to do for another 5 days, and then we just got another animal. When I was at Yosemite, we were told to ride our animals 3 days maximum. Okay, I can tell you that here ranching and this sort of thing, I have ridden my mules 2 or 3 days in a row where I've worked them pretty good. And when I say worked, they are working in an arena. They're working 10, 12-hour days, dragging calves to fire and this sort of thing. If I've got a real tough day where we're climbing mountains, working cattle, I'll usually work them the one day, and then, oh, I go yawn again. Where's this yarn coming from all of a sudden? Anyway, I'll um, I'll work them hard one day, a 10-hour day, and then I'll give them a day off and go from there. It just really depends on the conditioning and what type of work that you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Big K. Appreciate the question. David Pingelli, hello, David Pingelli. He chimes in. He says, I had a pony when I was a kid that loved Red Man chewing tobacco. I don't know if it cured his worms, but he loved it more than carrots. Red Man chewing tobacco, right there.
There you go. That nothing but Pingelli right there. Yeah.
That's right. Coffee by David, y'all. Look it up online. All right. Sharon is watching from beautiful Pennsylvania. Donnie is watching from Plymouth, Idaho, 91 degrees, loading tack and gear for an elk hunting trip. Oh, man, you're going to make Steve jealous. Laura
Yeah.
says, I have a donkey who behaves very well when I am around, but misbehaves with people cleaning the stable when I am not there. Misbehaving, kicks them when they try to move her. How can I avoid this?
Oh my. Well, if if they're going to move her, a lot of people just go up and kind of push them and this sort of thing, and these animals will tend to say, "Now wait a minute, you're not going to push me around." And they'll kick back. So if it was me, if I was going to have them clean stalls, somebody else going to be doing it. I'd have somebody put a halter on that donkey, take him outside, tie him to the hitch and rail, and let him stand until they get the corral clean and then go back in. You got to be careful. A lot of these animals are kind of territorial about their corrals, um, and especially when they don't know you. So another thought might be if somebody's just going in there for a minute or two, you might want to take the come along hitch in with you and just kind of toss the come along rope at them, and you basically the come along rope hits them, and you say whoa and let them make sure they stand there while you do whatever you're going to do. I actually had a lady. I got to find that video. I was looking for it earlier, Dave, where she was using a pitchfork with a handle on it, and the mule was helping her. Now she had a leopard Appaloosa mule, and she would get a scoop of manure, and that mule would get a hold of that handle, and then she would pick up the front of the pitchfork, and they would dump it, and that mule would actually help her lift that pitchfork. I'll have to find that. That was kind of a funny video.
Awesome. Very good. Well, thanks for the question there, Laura. Hope that helps. Candace is watching from Indiana. Sunny, need rain. Even though I've never planned on riding my mule, should I have him broke to ride? He's 4.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's definitely time to be trained to put a foundation on. For a lot of reasons. To ride is, yeah, that's the fun part. But to do your vet work, you really want to be able to handle the mule so that you can get your vet work done. And don't forget about your trimming and shoeing and this sort of thing. That's all really important to have good hoof care. But also got to remember your mule's worth a lot of money. A lot of money. You know, these mules these days, $5,000 buys kind of a general average mule, and you buy one for less than that, you're doing good. So you're actually got a pretty good piece of gold right there in that 4-year-old mule.
Awesome. How cool. Congratulations there, Candace. You got some gold. You didn't even know it. Leslie says, question. I have a chronic choker. Any advice? I just found out this weekend. I wondered why the Amish put him up for sale. He is a good mule. I seldom feed pellets, and they are always soaked. What would you say to Leslie?
Well, there has to be some type of esophagus problem there, Leslie, that the vet can check it out because choking is really really rare in a mule and a donkey. Wetting the pellets is the best way to do it, but let's find out why. It could be that maybe that animal maybe got into some foxtail, and a foxtail has created a problem there in the esophagus. And until they X-ray it, they really wouldn't know what's wrong with it. But I'd say let's find out what's going on. Don't just smooth over the problem. Could very well be a foxtail problem.
All right. Great. Thank you for the question, Leslie. Sherman says, Steve, are the lighter hoof mules easier to trim and do they grow faster? Does he mean lighter color?
Yeah, lighter color. That's kind of an old wives' tale, Sherman. I've had all of my basic mules that I kind of kept around all the time were stock and legged, and all those hooves were white. And I can tell you here in Arizona, because of the dryness, they were quite hard. Um, I don't really know that being a black hoof or being a white hoof really makes any difference. I think it's just a matter of you keeping them trimmed up.
All right. Thank you, Sherman. Okay. Next question I got. This one came in from Helen. Says, I just had my 7-year-old John Mule blood tested and he is low in zinc and selenium. Wondering what you would feed. Most of the supplements I have found have alfalfa in them. I have been told no alfalfa. I appreciate your thoughts. Steve, what would you say to Helen?
Well, there you go, Helen. Congratulations on getting blood tests. And folks, that is usually one of the biggest things that mules and horses, by the way, but especially mules, are low on zinc. Happens a lot. That's why I tell you all, get blood tests so you know exactly where you are. Now, selenium, it's a norm. They just not enough selenium in most of the feeds, hay and pellet out there, unless you buy a pellet that especially has selenium in it, and it is out there. I don't mind feeding a little bit of alfalfa if you're working the animal. If they got something to do, but if they stand around a lot, then yeah, alfalfa can be a problem. Now, what percentage of alfalfa? I'd like to see under 10% would be the best, but most of all, focus on the selenium and focus on the zinc. That's really an important thing to do. Also, you want to think about too when you are feeding alfalfa. The downside of the alfalfa, it's really tough on the urinary tract of an equine. Very tough on them, and so you might want to you want to kind of keep an eye on your urine. You always want to make sure, of course, it's a light color. When it starts turning darker and getting in a coffee color, you could very well have acetaria set in. So you want to be careful of that as well. But uh, uh, find out what your level there is for alfalfa, and also your overall carbohydrates. You want to look at that as well in your feed.
Great. Thank you for the question, Helen. Steve, last Wednesday, a lot of folks know, but for those folks who don't, last Wednesday we had just an incredible time together talking about techniques for tuning up the mule or the donkey, for softening the animal, creating a willing partner in the training and riding and driving and packing and just enjoying life together process.
Mm-hmm.
And after that training, we sent out a link to everyone. Folks, if you want the link to watch the video, send me a message, support@muleranch.com. I would love to have you watch that video, watch that replay. But we had Jackie, who loved the training. Steve, I enjoyed the webinar last week and immediately implemented the Surcingle training, which we love it. I want to know, do I have the halter placed correctly? So if we take a look here, do I have the halter placed correctly? How about the hay ties? Are they the right length? Does the breeching seem correct? Let me know as I'm working with my mule every second day, and I look forward to reporting the results. So right here, I wrote back, I said, we'll have Steve take a look. But right off the bat, the halter to me looks like those knots are about an inch to an inch and a half too high. Would want those down to be, is it 2 fingers or 3 fingers above the nostril?
Yeah, 2 fingers above the nostril, but also this is a very light halter. You want the nostril knots to be big. If you notice on my halters, they're big. And the reason that is, you want it to sit down in here and shut the wind off right in here. So this will kind of work, but it's not as crisp and clean a communication. Yes, 2 fingers above the nostril. And you want to make sure also the strap in behind the pole goes right in behind the pole. That's really important. So they're almost touching the ears. And like I said, it's a light halter, and the tie there on the side is incorrect. From what I can see, it's a little bit blurry. And then you want the bottom part. You want to take up that Turk's head knot. That drop down, drop down, drop down. You'll see that knot right there. That right there. You want to. That knot needs to be up against the chin so that you kind of create what's called a bozalis. In other words, a nose knot. That goes around the nose. And so the halter's too light. And you might send her one of our videos on how to adjust a halter. We've got several of them that can help you out.
So by
And then
too light, you mean it doesn't have the kind of the chutzpah and the dexterity and um the dexterity in the rope knots. Those knots on yours are bigger and they have a little bit
bigger,
more weight to them and they have a little bit more
right,
definition to them. And
right.
then yeah, the I can definitely tell up underneath the chin, like those knots seem even smaller than the ones that are on the side. I think she's got the right idea, but what we're
Yes,
looking for here is refinement. Now she sent in these pictures of the Surcingle as well. So with that
beautiful,
said about the rope halter, what do you see with the Surcingle here?
beautiful, great Surcingle. Got the breeching on there, nice. And you could even move it back a little bit, but that's very good right there. The main thing is you want to have on your strings where the halter is get their nose down to eat. If they can't get their nose down, then you've got it about in the right place. Now, when you send me pictures, I'm looking at overall everything. Notice the crest of the neck is starting to develop the fat pockets pretty heavy. That makes it very difficult for the mule to bend and turn his neck and this sort of thing. And so that's the feed is going to help tremendously with that. Feeding the right feed. And then you could buy what's called a stud sweat, and it's a big kind of a scarf that you pull right over the head and right over the neck. And when they get real sweaty on hot days, especially, that'll help break that down some. And if you notice, if you keep on going down, come to the surcingle, and then follow that back strap, and just where that hip strap comes down, notice the fat pocket there. Okay, so this little mule has been has been in pastures or someplace to where it's got too many carbohydrates, and he's a young mule, thinner mule, but he's already starting to develop the fat pockets. So you want to be real careful on your feeding program with this little mule. But good job on the Surcingle. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing that, and I love that she went to work
Yeah,
on it right away. That was very,
right
very
away.
encouraging for me, and I'm really, really proud of you, Jackie. That's awesome. Let's see. Okay, Karen says good morning from southeast Queensland, Australia. Sunny, 21 degrees Celsius. Chance of showers later. We took delivery of our 2 mulefuls from David Scholl and Di Scholl on Saturdays. The Mollies are settling in well and starting to enjoy a hard feed. There we go. How awesome is that?
That's cool. Good. Congratulations, David Saul, and congratulations, new mule people.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
Paul
cool.
says, Steve, I don't think I understand how to ask a mule to step away from me at the shoulder. He just rubs necks, pushes her shoulder towards me, and I can't get any leverage on that nose. What would you say to Paul?
Okay, so Paul, for one thing, folks, we got to think that we got to fix the problem. What's a small problem? If the mule is already on top of me, we're too late. It's usually our timing that gets us in trouble. Our timing. All right. So here's the deal. When they're that close, I take the edge of my boot and I tap them on the cannon bone of their leg. The cannon bone is you've got the hoof, and then you've got the pastern right here, and then you've got that long bone. Tap them on that. Just give them a sharp little tap with the edge of your boot, And then after this, if they start to come into your space, kick a little dirt toward them, something like that. Or if you've got a quirk, you can tap them on the shoulder. Never slap them on the head. Never hit them on the head. Okay, but try to hit them kind of belly down, so to speak. This is about the best place to get them out of your space. And otherwise, if you got the come along hitch, you use the come along hitch. That's the best place. That is where you start showing them my space, your space. Use that come along hitch, folks. That come along hitch is my space, your space. So right there, you see how I'm preparing this mule. Got her head down, rubbing, loving her up to her, putting the come along hitch on. That's really important right there, folks. That mule is being submissive. I am asking the mule to be there. This mule was ear shy. Didn't look so ear shy right there, did it? But it was ear shy. And so I was able to work with the mule and get it to where I could work with the ears. Now, again, notice I tip the nose into me each time. That loosens the throat latch. I ask him to drop the head. That loosens the 5 neck muscles. Now, watch. Left hand on the nose, right hand comes up on the ears. Now, what's my left hand doing on the nose? If the mule moves, I pinch its nose immediately. The mule is not allowed to leave me. If he does, I'm going to make him uncomfortable. Good piece there, mule guy.
So
Good
right
job.
here, Steve, this mule was also the star of our Surcingle training, the techniques for tuning up. But if you remember, this
Yeah.
mule owned, and I know you do, owned by this girl here. So I don't know if she was 15, 16 years old. But the problem that she had was this mule kept like bumping up and trying to hit her and get up in her space. And so you took time
Yep.
individually with her. What's she doing right there? Why are you having her rub all over the mouth and the nose and everything?
Because that's what he usually does. He'll when he go to touch his nose, he would throw his nose in. Let's go back a little bit. Go back. Go back in the video. You'll see her. Now there's me. All right. Now watch her. Okay. Now she's gonna hold the bridle. Watch the mule flick her hand and flick her nose away. Right there a little bit. Right there. You see that? That's what that mule would do. It would do that to her a lot. Now, that's the first stage of biting, you all. Okay? And you see right there, When that mule flipped her nose and flipped her hand away, she bumped him with the come along hitch, and that is going to fix the problem. See, all this mule is trying to do is say, I am the top of the pecking order. Okay, does everybody see that? Is there any way you kind of take it back there and stop a split second, Dave, so everybody can kind of see that? See the mule's putting her on ignore? There was a little bit. There's kind of pulling his nose up a little bit. Well, we didn't catch him in that quite right spot, but I think everybody got the idea. The come along is your communication that says that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. And that's what this mule was doing. There, you see that? Everybody see that? That's really important. This mule flicks it out and saying, I'm going to be the boss. Now, I've even seen him take the head and slam the head against the other person's head. So again, you see, that come along hitch is going to fix the problem. It's
Her
going to
timing
say,
was perfect.
yes, yes, it was. It was very good timing. Very good. Good note there, mule guy.
Hey, I'm learning from the Mule Man. Okay, I thought that was a great video. I'm really glad we got to talk about that. That was a really fun mule to spend time with. Okay, let's keep going here. Marsha just tuned in. Sunny and nice again in Virginia. Like the hats. There you go. Love thy mule. It's very, very comfortable. I'm loving this. My bay mule is getting his winter coat already. Yes, bring the winter. I want the winter to come. That's kind of early for a winter coat, though, isn't it?
Well, some mules do. It depends on where they're born. You know, they start getting a little bit of a temperature change, and they'll start putting on that little extra woolies there.
How will you groom for the winter? Sorry, I thought you were going to talk more. I put a little granola bar in. I didn't have lunch today. But how do you groom for the winter? Like when they start to get that, what do you do?
I don't really do much of anything, Dave. I usually, my grooming, you all, because I don't do much of it. Right where my saddle pad sits, I'll take a leather glove. I'll have my leather gloves on, and I'll rub them around a little bit and kind of make sure it's fairly clean. But I don't spend a lot of time wiping and cleaning and all this stuff. I just clean where the saddle pad is, put my saddle on, and go ride. I know a lot of people like to do that, and spend time in grooming and stuff, and that's nice to do. Okay, because you're trying to build a good relationship. But with me, it's pretty much just kind of wipe them a little bit, put it on there, and go. I'm kind of jealous. I didn't have a granola bar.
So I office out of my parents' house. It's been great, Steve. My parents are in their 70s, and there was a stretch there where I'd see them maybe once every week and a half. And a couple of years ago, I said, "Hey, you got that extra space in the house? I don't want to keep paying for this office. How about I rent the extra space?" They said, "Great." So I see my parents every day, almost every day, and I really enjoy it. Well, usually I take care of all my own food stuff. And today, time just got away from me and I was hungry. So I went down. I was like, "Mom, do you have anything?" And of course, my mom brought out an entire spread. She's like, "Oh, take your pick." So I had a cookie and I have me a Kind bar. So shout out to Kind. Now, Kyle, if you're still watching, we're getting to your question now. Kyle joined us for our Surcingle training and says, I really enjoyed, actually, he didn't say I really. He says, I enjoyed your clinic. Didn't mean to put words in your mouth there. How you are pointing me in the right direction. I've resolved to become a better horse and mule man. I own 2 saddle mares and a faithful 16-hand John mule who is nearing the end of his mountain adventures. My mare foaled a young stud colt last year and a white spotted Molly mule this spring. She is also breed back to the same jack. I went to my tack room, built what looks like a surcingle. I have included a picture. Please let me know if you see any holes in my setup. How cool. Planning to
Good
buy
for
the
you.
video in the Mule Riders Martingale. How tight should I make the strings? I keep shortening them until the nose gets on the vertical is my guess. So here is what he sent in. And I think a little bit of the commentary is, I can't tell on those knots. Maybe those knots are a little bit heavier. He's using a rope halter. Looks like the knots are heavier than the other one. Steve, what do you see?
I see a lighter halter. I can tell by the strands that it's not a very it's not a very stiff halter, and you need it to be stiff in the very beginning. But still, to answer the question about how tight do I have it, as my horse is standing there, okay, just standing there naturally, I want to tie each one of my strings so that it just starts to be snug, barely snug, okay? And when it is, I'll tie it off to that place. Now, my key thing for the strings is if they can get their nose on the ground, I need to snug it up. Okay. And again, not a lot, because if you over tighten, if you over pull on a mule, especially, they will get stiff and tighten all 5 major neck muscles. All right. A horse, I've seen them actually flip over. So you want to be careful though. But congratulations, that's a great Surcingle. Notice, folks, the Surcingle does not have to be up against the front leg. It can be back, because what holds it into place is the string from the halter and the breeching. That's what holds it into place that you want it. The only reason you want a Surcingle, the only reason, is to be able to tie your strings back. All right. Now, one of my favorite things to say to you is, how do I soften my mule up? How do I soften my donkey up? In this case, horse. Okay. So your idea is you take your hands and you roll your wrist right, left, and I've demonstrated this uh, during the webinar that we did, and that got the animal to drop his head and even back up a little bit. So one of the things you can do is take your twine and go from the halter through the ring and not tie it off at the ring, but then go right on up at the top and tie the two together on top. Now, as your animal walks, the halter is going, the strings are going right, left, which is encouraging to the horse, to the mule, to the donkey to get to drop your head, because that rolling sensation of the knots going back and forth, that that right there is what helps the equine to drop his head and get his nose on the vertical. Now, halter is extremely important, folks. My knots are probably about this big. They're almost an inch in circumference. That's how big they need to be. And by doing that, that knot sets down in the nostril. And then there's some weight then to the halter. If it's real light halter, then then it's going to work, but it's not going to work as quick and as crisp and clean. So that's the idea. I have searched all over the years, trying to find the right rope to make the knots just right, to make the halter just right, so that it communicates correctly. Nice job of, you can see there that the knot on the bottom there in the chin is right up there against her snug. Not like the mule where it was way down and heavy. There you go. See down in there? That's really nice. That's really nice. And the knots are 2 fingers above the nostril. That's nice. But the knots aren't quite big enough. But still, they're doing the job. Use that halter. And as long as the horse is staying soft, you're doing great. Congratulations.
So, real quick, you may have said this. I was getting our next question ready. You may have said this. Is this the right amount of tension? It appeared to me right off the bat, and I'm not saying to people that this is what it is. I'm asking Steve. It appeared to me that it looked like it was a little bit too tight, that it would always have pressure, but but I don't know. Maybe that's just the way it looks. Is this a good amount of tension?
Yeah, no, it's too much. That's why I
Okay,
was talking about in the very beginning. How do we? Where do we start? So
got it.
okay, we start with the animal standing natural. However he stands, how down, up, however he stands. When he's standing there, take the string and then tie back to the ring naturally, so that it just starts to get snug on the halter. That as much as I need it for now. Okay. And then as it progresses, and as the horse, the mule, the donkey starts moving around, you'll see him start flexing and start getting his head. Okay. Um, so yes, it's over tightened here, and the horse, you see he's starting to back up. It looks like by looking at his left rear leg and his right front leg, he's starting to prepare to back up from the pressure from the halter. You see how loose those are? See how loose that string is, and look how heavy the halter is. That's really important, folks. That halter being heavy, the weight is really important. See, it's not just a rope halter, folks. This is something I've got a lot of years in, a lot of years trying to figure it out. But you can see there the how loose it is. It's not real taut, and it does a nice job. And this is just the very beginning. This little mule was only been 3 or 4 minutes at this time, and it makes no difference where the breeching is. And notice how loose the cinch is. The cinch is hanging way down loose, you see? So the idea of the surcingle is only to hold your strings or your rein into place. That's all. And it can be real loose. It can be about anywhere.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think this one is probably one of the better pictures we have there. You had never really talked much about the kind of the weight, the stiffness of the rope halter, at least not to the point that you just did now. But it does make a lot of sense. You need those knots to communicate. It's not meant to just lay there. It's
Right.
meant to communicate and put, substantial pressure, when they move their nose up. And I don't know that I really fully grasp when we're talking about the pressure. It seems to me that the mule responds even to the slightest amount of pressure. So folks who are saying, you don't put it right there, that's cartilage. The idea is not that they would have immense and intense amounts of pressure there. Certainly, if they're not going to listen to you, there's going to be moments of that. But it seems like they respond even just to the slightest touch, Steve.
Right. You see, and people got this wrong. That halter setting in that on that nostril, 2 fingers above the nostril, is not set. Those knots are not setting on any cartilage. It's actually an open area. It's completely open. And if you feel around your nose of your mule, you can push up, and then you'll kind of see where all of a sudden it ends. The knot is right here in the nostril area, folks. It's in the nostril area. It's not setting on any cartilage. Now, if you adjust it like most people do, it's up on the bone. That is on cartilage and it is on bone. But where this is, there's no cartilage. If it's adjusted correctly, no cartilage to damage.
All right. This is fun. Dave O'Brien sent in a trio of pictures. He said, I found this crack, this cut on my Molly's rear hoof. So this is his Molly right here. And here you go. Here, can you see that, Steve?
Yeah, yeah.
He says, I found it. I've never seen anything like it, and I thought I would ask for Steve's opinion. What
Okay,
are we looking at here? Here is another angle that he shared.
yeah. I
But what
like that
do
nice white hoof. Okay, what that is, it's called a gravel. All right, and what's happened is where this is your outside hoof right here, and then you have your white line, as you all know it. Okay, and then you have your bone area. Okay, which is the coffin bone. Now, what happens is gravel goes up through that white line. Okay, and it opens up a spot, and then pretty soon it'll either come out up at the white line, or like this did, it come out in the middle of the hoof. It happens. It happens a lot. Uh, and is there a shoe on that mule? No, no, it's not a shoe. Okay, okay. But when they when the white line is, we get a lot of moisture. Okay, and the white line expands. Okay, and and that white line expands. That's a good time when it's wet for a gravel to go up in there, and then it literally crawls right up the hoof, and then this one here found its way about halfway up the middle, But a good looking hoof there, nice hoof. I like the heel on it. It's really nice, good clean heel, nice rounded hoof, very nice. Okay. Now one thing I noticed, go back to that picture again. Okay, what you want to figure, folks, is notice the frog. The frog points to the center of the hoof. So look at that frog, and that frog should point to the very front of that hoof, the very front. Okay. Now, if it's pointing off to the right or to the left, the hoof is then crooked, and we've got to do some corrective shoeing to it or trimming. So you want to make sure that frog is pointing right to the center of that, which it almost is. It's almost near perfect.
Awesome. Appreciate you sending that in, Dave. That's a good teaching moment and something I've never seen before. Steve, it cut out real quick. What did you say you actually call that?
Okay, it's called a gravel. Okay,
Okay.
it's just a very simple term, simply because a little piece of gravel went up through the white line, which the white line is the shock absorber from the outside wall to the coffin bone. Okay, and that's what kind of protects that coffin bone. And once in a while, if you get a wet time, where it's really been wet, and then it goes dry for a while, that white line, okay, is soft, and then that gravel will then climb up through that white line. It doesn't cripple them or anything like that, unless you get an infection, and there's a possibility because of their stepping in manure and urine and stuff. There's a possibility of that doing it. That's one of the reasons I tell folks that another good reason to keep one shod is to keep from having a gravel. Normally, a gravel is normally okay, except for if it gets infected. Then it can be a problem. Then you have to cut outside walls, and it can be pretty tough. But that would look good, Dave. I wouldn't be worried about that at all. You'll see that split, or not split, actually that gravel. You'll see it coming down the hoof, and you'll it probably within maybe 10-12 months, you'll see it completely go out.
Awesome. Marsha, we already said Marsha's Bay Mule's getting her winter coat. So that's winter coat alert 2024. Marsha's Bay Mule's getting it. Bill says sharing the Mules of Ohio and Mules of Indiana, 81 degrees and sunny. Laura says, my donkey also hunts chickens and cats, seemingly for fun when I'm not there. No fear. How can I work out this problem? I never get to see it because she does not do it when I stand there. Same thing as what we said before.
Yeah, here's the thing with your chickens and cats and dogs with a donkey. Okay, they'll kill them. Okay, and you got to be careful. And I've even seen them kill calves. Now, usually the smaller donkeys don't. That they're the minis, but I have seen the larger donkeys and mules kill chickens, cats, and dogs, and hurt kids.
This is pretty cool. All right, let me bring this up. Christmas came early. The widow of the previous owner of my mule sent me these tapes. Um, Not only did they attend your clinic, but used your methods to train my Gina, previously known as Ginger. I'm about to have a revision on a knee replacement, so I have plenty to keep me engaged. So she's got all these old videos. Well, not old videos. I mean, these are still for sale, but who knows, how long the previous owner had them. I'd like to
Yeah,
know if you could do a segment tomorrow on the placement of the Britchen. I know you said to place it differently depending on whether your terrain is hilly or flat, but where should it be for trail riding fairly flat land with minor hills? And so, Steve, I've got a picture here. Let's see if we can make this work right here.
There you go.
So
So
that's
that,
one of our pictures, but I was hoping maybe you could, help her see where to put it for,
yeah,
trail ride not real hilly.
yeah. I actually sent a YouTube video. I sent it to her so she can watch me actually doing it. But see, right there on the very top. Let's start on the top. That big strap that goes along the top. That's called the hip safe. All right. And then from the hip safe, there are two leather straps that go to the back of the saddle, one on the right and one on the left. You need two of them in order to keep the saddle centered. All right. And then you got the straps down the side of the hip. Those are called hip straps. And then those actually adjust that butt plate. That's a wider strap on the bottom, adjust it up and down. Now, you always notice this butt plate is at an angle and it goes into the quarter strap, which then attaches to the saddle. You want it at an angle. If you have it straight and you're going like down to a front cinch, you'll see that it'll wear hair off really quick. So you want your breeching to be at an angle and you want to adjust it according to your terrain. All right. Now, here I'm adjusting the breeching, and notice where the hip plate is up on top there. Okay. And notice the quarter straps, the hip straps down along the side, and notice how low it is right now. If I was dropping off real low, if I was dropping off a real steep mountain, I would bring the top of that breeching up. Right now, I'm just now setting the saddle into place, and I'm starting to make the adjustment. Notice how low it is. I don't want it that low when I'm just average trail riding up and down little low hills. If I'm coming down off, like say I'm coming out of the Grand Canyon, I want it to go down lower. Notice how I'm taking my hand and shoving down in there. That is a half an inch. And then when I pull on it, and you can see the gap between the two, that's an inch. Your saddle can move an inch and a half forward, back, left, and right. Okay. So when I'm first beginning to adjust my breeching, I start from the top and then I work my way down, always at an angle. Notice where my hip safe is. That's at the top. You want it between the point of the croup and the dock of the tail. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the question there, Pat. And let's see here. Oh, well, hello. Good morning, warm and sunny Queensland, Australia. David Scholl. We've gone international. Cheryl is watching from beautiful 80-degree North Carolina. The boys are feeling spunky. Jim is watching from 70s in Dorr, Michigan. Looking forward to the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. That's right. We got to talk about that, folks. These days, Steve is not doing as many clinics and expos as he has done in the past. As a matter of fact, as of like today, I think the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival is the only opportunity to connect with Steve live this entire year for instruction, for clinician training, and it's going to be a fantastic time. Steve, why don't you tell them a little bit about the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival? I'll get a link for folks.
Well, it's kind of unique. I was just talking to him just before we started the program here. Now, here's something kind of unique, folks. And being around equine, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, things happen in a split second. Now, Marty Ray's wife has really gotten into donkeys. She just loves donkeys. She says, I wish I'd have known about donkeys 25 years ago. I would have had more of them because she's had gated horses. Remember, she's Shelbyville, so that's all that Tennessee walk and stuff. She's had gated horses, gated mules, and they've gone to shows and all this stuff. I mean, these folks are mule crazy, all right? And she just had a brand new baby, and you've got a placenta that goes over the baby, and it's real slick and this sort of thing. And so the baby was out of the placenta, and she was starting to do imprinting on it, and she slipped on the placenta, and she broke her femur. Yeah, her femur. Ouch. So she's been in a lot of pain, but anyway, that's what's happened with them right now. So she hurt herself pretty good. So now going back to the program, Marty Ray has put this on for close to 5 years now, and what he's done, he uses the money from this program was to help veterans. That's what he did, to help veterans. He had veterans there, had veterans programs, and he used that money exclusively to help the veterans. Well, being that Marty Ray is as a child of the living God, he decided this year he was going to help out groups, okay, that are doing work for the Lord, and different Christian groups, different women's organizations that are needing finances and stuff. So Marty Ray is using this money from this program to be able to help these people. Now, I don't charge for going there, okay? I don't charge for the clinic. The clinics are all free, completely, totally free. So if you want to bring your mule to that clinic, you call me, you email me, and we'll visit and we'll get you set up for the clinic. I'll let as many people want to come to this clinic that want to watch. Again, it's free, but we're looking for a donation. If you will donate, you would make me feel really good. I don't, like I said, I'm not charging for it. And if you want to bring your mule and me train on you and your mule, I'm not going to charge you for it. You make a donation, and you'll help out some Christian organizations. And I certainly appreciate it if you'll do that. They have Bluegrass Festival too, so they're going to be playing bluegrass and all the time there that night as well. And then I get to do this year the Cowboy Church service. I've been blessed to be able to do that. And so there they are right there, the Bluegrass Festival. Good, you got a bunch of pictures. Awesome. It's really something to see, you all. Now I know a lot of you coming from all over that I've been hearing, and there's hotels there and this sort of thing. There's RV spots, but you're going to see a lot of mules. You're going to see me training. You're even going to see a mule there that makes ice cream. All right, you got to go see the mule that makes ice cream. There's some cloggers there. Yep, they do clogging as well. It is really a good time. Laid back. Right there's a mule race. That's a lot of fun. And there we are talking about mules and this sort of thing. That's great. You got mules everywhere. There's a mule pool. I mean, all kinds of stuff, folks. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. Wagons, as you can see. It is really busy, family oriented, and this sort of thing. It's really something to see.
I put a link in the comments section. Y'all can click that. There is literally something for everyone, and it just keeps getting better every single year. And like I said,
Yep.
if you want to connect with Steve at an expo, this is the only opportunity in 2024 to do that. And as Steve said, what Marty Ray and the people there have been doing is incredible work supporting worthy organizations. And we want donations. We want to be people who are generous with our money, generous with our finances, generous with our time, with our talents. And this is one opportunity where we can, hey, I'll tell you what, there's probably plenty of people out there who would say, well, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? And you know what? We're not here for a earthly ROI on everything. We are here for a kingdom ROI. And so this is a real opportunity to produce a return on investment that outlasts this life. So incredible stuff. American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. Click the link in the comment section. Y'all can go check it out. Merlin says, late again, too many chores. Hazy from Canadian Smoke today, but it is about 75. Susan says, I'm asking for Carl. He's technically challenged. How do you stop mules from pawing in the horse trailer?
Okay, one of my favorite things is to take a strap and put it. Well, let's just do it. Let's just do it this way first. You take a strap like a dog collar and go around above the knee, and you take a heavy chain link, about 12 inches, a heavy chain with heavy links, and you put the strap through the link. And when they paw, you put one on each foot, and when they paw, that takes and hits the legs and makes them uncomfortable, and they will quit pawing. Now, here's the deal. Again, it's your timing, you all. And remember, there's nothing when it comes to mules, donkeys, horses, you're in danger all the time, all the time. So I want to push that button again. Danger, all right? And as soon as they quit pawing, take the chains off. Take the straps off. See, then you give them comfort. When that chain is slapping them on the legs and this sort of thing, it makes them uncomfortable. Now, I got another cowboy way of doing it. You take an old horseshoe and take a couple old shoes, and you tie baling twine to them, and then you take the baling twine and you tie it up above the knee, and that when they paw, that horseshoe hits them on the leg and makes them uncomfortable. Do not hobble the front feet in the trailer. If you want to kill your mule hobbling, don't hobble him. The idea of hobbling, folks, is to stand still and quiet, and that takes training. So right there's two ways for you to do. But remember now, folks, anytime you're working around these animals, you got a chance of getting hurt. So caution, caution, caution.
All right, Steve, it's 4 o'clock. Do you have time for a few more questions?
Sure, we can do a couple more.
Okay, great. This next question comes in from Bruce, says, will you do one of these clinics, meaning what we did for the Surcingle, on side passing? This is the one I struggle with. And so while we don't have a clinic right here to do, I did bring up some video here. And look, here's the deal, folks. There's no such thing as a trained mule. There is foundation and disposition, but there are some things you can do to discover if the mule has had training and can perform at a basic foundation level. It's turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, side pass, and was there one, and back up?
Yep, and back up. The mule
all in a 10-foot circle.
That's right.
Okay.
All in a 10-foot circle. Good job.
So right here, I've got this video, Steve, and I want you to do what you can to help Bruce get the side pass. So I've got this video here, and I'm going to play it, and let's see if we can help Bruce.
Okay. Notice I'm picking up on the head, and I'm putting pressure in one spot. Watch, I pick up on the head, and I put pressure right there in the center. That is side passing. Now I put my hand, okay, that's still side passing. Now, you can't quite see it here, but see how the front end is staying in place and the back end is moving over? I'm actually putting my hand, you look at it like this. This one right here is in the middle. When you put your leg forward, that moves the front end over. When you put your leg back, that moves the back end over. So right where you would move your leg back, you got 12 inches, 4 inches for each movement. So when you got your side passings in the middle, then you're turning on the forehand, you move it back 4 inches and put a little pressure there, and then the back end goes over. Now remember, it's important that you hold the head in the correct place, okay? Up when you're side passing, back when you're turning on the forehand. Front end stays in place, back end goes over, okay? and then down when you're turning on the hindquarters. So it's important you have the head be moved. And notice how I was using the halter there to do that.
All right. Hannah's watching from Florida, where there's 78 thunderstorms. God bless America. Dave O'Brien says her hoof is still too small for a 000 shoe.
Yeah, yeah. She don't need a shoe yet because you can see how nice and wide the heel is. It has a beautiful hoof. But if you had to do corrective shoeing, you could. And a triple lot is what I probably use on most of my mules. But you'll see that gravel. You'll see that place come down, come down. Shoot some pictures as you go along, Dave. Like maybe in about 3 weeks, shoot another picture about where it is. And I've even taken, just to show people, a black felt marker and put the mark on it so you can see where it was and how it's moving down.
Laura's got another question. Love these questions, Laura. Thank you. How do you convince a donkey to go inside the trailer? The horse method, with a lot of work outside, rest there, does not get me past the phase of feet on the ramp. Pressure from behind also doesn't do it. And so, Laura, I put a link in the comments section. Steve will have some additional comments here. But Steve and I traveled to Buckeye. I don't know, about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. One of Steve's clients, Catherine, had an animal that refused to go into the trailer. She had gone out to an event, and when she was trying to get her mule back into the trailer, she said it took 7 full-grown men to force this thing to get up in the trailer. Now, that's dangerous for everybody involved, including the animal. And so when we went out there, Steve said, I want you to film me getting this mule in the trailer. And it was real confusing to me because the first 3/4 of the time we were there, Steve didn't do anything with the trailer. And I was like, we came out here for the trailer, Steve. You're doing other things. And I'll let you explain to him what he was doing, and you're going to want to check out that video. Steve, tell her what we were working on and what she needs to know.
Sure. Okay, so the number one thing I want you to think about, I only had one hand at that time. My left hand, I had actually run a knife through it, and it was actually bleeding pretty heavy there, and I had a glove on it. So most of my work was one-handed here. So what I did is I used my come along rope. You see, that's the biggest problem that we have with these with people is they use the wrong halters and nylon halters and this sort of thing. Now, this come along rope, I did all of my ground foundation first with my come along rope so that the mule knew what I wanted. So when I come to the trailer, I actually made outside of the trailer uncomfortable, bump, bump, bump with my come along rope, and in the trailer quiet with the come along rope. You see, so I did this in steps. Outside, I'd move the mule, and if the mule didn't move quite like I wanted, bump, bump, bump. So I made that spot uncomfortable, comfortable going forward. So pretty soon I got it to where, as you all can see, the mule loaded right up. And was it a chore? Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's mostly done one-handed because this finger was all taped up from running a knife through it, and I had a glove on it to kind of protect it a little bit more. That's quite the video there. But folks, the biggest problem with the majority of mules and donkeys out here, we're using the wrong communication tools. Number one, we're using a halter to build a foundation, and we shouldn't do. Halters are okay, even one that's adjusted correctly, and my rope halter, but it doesn't communicate like the come along hitch does. The come along hitch flat communicates crisp and clear and works perfectly good.
So, Laura, if you don't have the come along rope yet, in the comment section, you're going to see a link to this training video, which it's fantastic. So much of what we talk about now makes a lot of sense to me. In hindsight, looking back, be like, oh, okay. Like I didn't understand at the time why what Steve was doing outside of the trailer impacted going into the trailer, and then once the mule was inside the trailer, I didn't get it. Today, all this time later, I get it. You've got a head start on me. And so I think it's going to be a really big help for you But you're going to need the come along rope. And I'll tell you what, Laura and everyone else watching, folks who are here every week, they will tell you we do not push product. We really don't. But when there is a tool that you have to have in order to accomplish the thing that you're doing, especially when it has to do with communication in the moment, there's no such thing as safe, but you can be prepared and ready. That come along rope is what you're going to want. So the ground foundation starting kit comes with the come along rope, which is a fantastic tool. It comes with an adjustable rope halter. So earlier in this program, we were talking about lighter halters. This halter is sturdy and stiff. It has the knots in the right places, and it's adjustable. And it comes with a video to show you how to use the come along rope and perform basic ground foundation training, which is what you're going to want to do as you try to get to be this herd leader and lead your animal into the trailer. So I really recommend it. Yeah, thanks for the question. Pat has a question. I used a Pessoa training system on all of our Oldenburg dressage horses and also found it useful on my doctor ponies. Is there any reason why it would not be suitable for my mule? Now, I don't know what a Pessoa training system is, Steve. Do you know what that is?
You got me at a blank there. Pessoa training system. Uh, if you got a way to show it to me or send us a picture or something like that, or I don't know of any trainers by that name, so I'd be interested to know what you're doing.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be fun. Bill says, looking forward to Shelbyville, finally getting to make the trip. Polly says, where can we donate even if we can't go? Polly, the link in the comment section just above yours, that's going to have all the information. And I sure do appreciate you even asking the question. That's fantastic. And I know Steve would appreciate it, but those ministries will as well. Jim is watching from Western Maryland, just got here. West putting hay all day. I'll catch the rerun. Yes, we'll love to have you on the rerun. Lori says, thanks for your time from Central Florida. And Steve, I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to get a minute with you here. You sent me a very cool picture earlier today. Can I show that picture? Is that all right?
You bet. Yeah. All right. You all have heard me talk about Dr. Robert Miller, and here he is. I went to a foreign country to see him, California, and I don't like going to California, but for Bob Miller, I went there, and I went to see him. He's 97 years old, folks, 97, and just as sharp as a tack. It's amazing. This man has did more to contribute to the equine world as equal to, and if not more than Tom Dorrance. I mean, he's written books. He's quite the cartoonist. He's got a cartoon book that just makes you laugh about a veterinarian and different things went on. So when something happened, he actually drawed up a cartoon. It's amazing. But Dr. Miller is the one who put imprinting into the equine world. Imprinting. What imprinting is breaking the flight and fright with these babies. Okay. And imprinting, when it's done correctly, is a wonderful tool. When it's done like anything else, when it's done correctly. So I spent a couple hours with Bob at 97 years old. He would kind of go into some nap time once in a while when you sit there talking to him. But it's okay. We had a nice breakfast, got a chance to visit with his wife and his caregiver. And there's my wife and Debbie, Bob's wife, and it was just a wonderful time to be together, and I really appreciate it. If you look back off my wife's shoulder, there's a world-renowned picture of Bob Miller imprinting on a baby colt, and there's quite a story behind that. Now, Bob wrote articles for Western Mule, Western Horseman. There's the picture. Beautiful painting. There's actual picture that his wife had taken and imprinting a baby. And I was against it at first until I started learning why Bob really did it. And it's amazing. When you imprint one, you're breaking flight and fright, and it's a wonderful thing. It's not just a matter of touching one. There's a lot of short little techniques to it, but I love spending that time with Bob. You all heard me talk about Mr. Miller, Dr. Robert Miller. If you want some great books on training, yeah, he's a mule man, okay, and, uh, and most of all, but horses, of course, was his main thing in his vet service, and he contributed phenomenally to the equine world. He went with me to Brazil, and we had an enjoyable time there, and so I really appreciate what Bob Miller has done over the years for the equine world. Again, if you want some great training techniques that work, then especially with your babies, Bob Miller, read his all and videos. He's got videos. He's got all kinds of books. Pretty incredible. He even has written a little bit about me and some articles in there. He does one particular book. It's called Natural Horsemanship Explained. Now, unique thing about Bob Miller too, he never touched a typewriter and didn't know a thing about computers. But he hand wrote all of his books, all of his articles. He wrote everything out by hand, completely and totally. It's just amazing. But anyway, there you are. That's my very good friend, Dr. Robert Miller.
That's great. Steve, I forgot about this, and then I was moving the picture. Let's get to this real quick, and then we'll call it a day. You sent me this picture as well, and you said, I want to talk about this on the show. What do we got going on here, Steve?
Well, basically, she's got a bareback pad, and she's using my Martingale on a horse. And she said, wow, in just a matter of minutes, my horse changed his whole attitude. As you can see, she made up a surcingle there, kind of out of an old bareback pad, and she made it work. That's all that counts. She says, just in a couple minutes, this horse changed his whole attitude and became a good horse. Yay, Martingale, she said.
That's awesome. Folks, thanks so much for hanging out with us. As I say every single week, Steve and I both know you could be doing a lot of different things. The fact that you're here spending time with us, it really does mean the world. We work hard to put on a great program for you, make sure we don't waste your time, and really work hard to give you something that can help make your life better in whatever area you're training or what area you're trying to enjoy. And if you have any additional questions that you'd like for us to talk about in a future program, send a message to support@muleranch.com. I will be happy to get them on our next program. I don't think in all the years we've been doing this, I don't think there's ever been a question I was like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about everything. We'll talk about horses if you need. We'll talk about shoeing. We'll talk about feed. We'll talk about tack, everything, because we believe that it's valuable to get the information out there and help not only you, but future people. Steve, anything you want to say before we're all done?
Nope, I appreciate y'all. Just remember, we got some serious voting that we need to be doing up and coming. America, its life is at stake right now, folks. And just remember this: blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord.
That and love thy mule.
Love thy mule.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Yeah. You like Dave, huh? Yeah. You like Dave. Good for you.